All right, so what are we going to do? We usually go to let's mention Real Brewery.
Yeah.
Because they are the podcast sponsor, as always.
Bill, great guy at Real
Narcissus IPA. Yeah, Bill's fantastic.
I love the Narcissus.
I got a shit ton of Narcissus right now. It's very
beer.
tasty.
Yeah, he gets Nelson hops, which is a rare hop out of Australia or New Zealand. It's a Southern Hemisphere hop. It's very hard to get. You have to have hop contracts to get this stuff, and he's got Nelson Sauvin in there. What's the matter? What's that face?
When did you become so wait, should we do this one first, or do you want to do something else first?
No.
We'll do a little bit of Narcissus.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. When did you become so into beer?
I became so into beer when I started working at a brew pub in Boston. Just my roommate at the time was working at the brew pub, and he got me a job. So honestly, if he had been working anywhere else, he'd been working at a wine bar, been working at a seafood restaurant, I probably would have gotten into that. But it was a brew pub. I really enjoyed the brewmaster, and I just started to learn. So when I moved to Chicago, I was able to get another job at a brew pub and became a bartender. Yeah. And then it's become a hobby of mine where I collect beer, and yeah. It
was just something that sort of you fell into, and then you really enjoyed.
And I did enjoy it. I mean, I find the production of it fascinating. I like the effects of it as well.
Oh, you mean the buzz? Ooh. So how do you go about learning? Is it all about tasting, or do you read literature on it and things like that?
Tasting is probably the best way, but I think to go back to your rant, you have to learn the lexicon of beer. So
yeah.
If you just smell a beer, if you don't really understand, well, what are the things I could be smelling?
Right.
Then I don't think you're going to be able to articulate it or appreciate it. So a lot of it is I became a level 1 Cicerone, which is known as a certified beer server.
Right.
So I did some research online. Then I got flashcards about different beer styles.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I also read a lot of beer blogs, so I know what beers are coming up. I talk a lot to the vendors who come in. So a lot of it has been just learning through tasting and talking to people who know significantly more than I do.
At what point, though, because you still manage iOS, for example, how do you separate it from work and fun?
I don't know what that means. Am I not allowed to have fun when I'm working?
It's very hard for most people.
I agree. I think it is strange when you work at a bar. Alcohol is present. I have to know the alcohol, and I'm tasting on alcohol all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just mean, like, at some point, you don't go home and read a beer blog and be like, oh, why am I working right now? Because it's part of your work. It's part of your craft.
It is part of my craft. But I'll say this. I'm not going home and reading up on, like, how do I best schedule the Saturday bar staff? Like, that to me would be more of, that's work that I would not be interested in. Beer, whether or not I work at a beer bar, I feel like will always be an interest of mine.
Sure.
So it does not feel like work. I quite enjoy doing research on beer outside of work.
Sure. Okay, so what do you... Go ahead.
No, it helps my job, but it's not...
work.
It's not work, exactly.
So what do you say to somebody like me who knows what type of beer they like, but doesn't know much beyond that? Do you think it's worth my time figuring out the hops, the Nelson Sauvins or whatever, the hops and the aromas that appeal to me? Do you think that's something that the casual drinker should know more about?
The casual. I don't think anyone has to, but I think it can lend itself to a greater appreciation of a beer, and it also can. When you go into a place, you can have more of an educated conversation, perhaps with the bartender,
sure,
the brewmaster, and then they can pair you with a product that probably better suits your
palate.
Your palate, exactly. But I know very little about food, and I cared nothing to know more about the spices.
Right.
I don't like having to eat, so
it's how you stay so rail thin.
It's a burdensome thing. So I can't say you should know about the beer you're drinking when I am such a Philistine of food. I don't care about it.
What does that mean?
Philistine, someone willfully ignorant.
Oh, nice.
I believe we should look
That's the word of the day.
I'm horribly butchering it. I'm sure.
Okay, so this is an IPA. This is what's the aroma in this? You said it has the note. What hop?
Nelson Sauvin.
Nelson Sauvin.
So it has similar Sauvignon Blanc notes. So it's the same Nelson Sauvin and Sauvignon Blanc. The grapes are from that region as well.
Oh, like the wine.
So
yeah.
there is a bit of a white wine smell to it. There's a bit.
It's a little citrusy.
Tropical fruit.
Yeah.
A hint of citrus.
Brandon has his nose down the glass deep.
Well, these are not the ideal tasting glasses. It's incredibly clean finish. What I like about this beer is he balances brilliantly. I think this is in the sevens, and it has
Sevens of what?
7%.
Oh yeah,
it's 7.6, which is
Healthy.
fairly big for an IPA. Especially now, they're definitely dropping them down to below 7. This has very little of the cloyiness, the sweetness, the thickness that comes from an IPA, where the malt bill is making it so it's too sticky.
Yeah.
Too like syrupy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you ever drink some, especially, we have this triple IPA, which I'm sure a triple IPA is almost impossible to not have this very sweet backbone, because if you don't put that in there, all those hops are going to be
right
not properly balanced. Yeah, but I think they constructed a really beautiful beer.